Why, when a man and a woman are dating, she goes through everything to get him, and then once they get married, she stops doing the things she used to do.
What she stopped doing?
Well, he's told me he couldn't stop her from keeping his meat out of her mouth. So,
and now it rarely goes there. That's a story to relate to everywhere.
Here's the thing: a happy woman is a nasty woman.
Okay.
You can always tell the mental health of a woman based on how high or how low her sex drive is. When we not in a good place, you not gonna be in a good place, because I don't even want to look at your right now. But if you got me in a good place, or I on my own am in a good place, happy women are eaters. You hear me? She waking up thinking, ooh, what kind of freak can I do tonight? You have to assess that women's sex drive is directly related to our mental health. And it might not even be about the husband. I could be going through my own mental things and have zero sex drive at all. Don't want nobody to touch me. Don't want you in my bed. Don't want you in my house. You got to ask baby what's wrong instead of why did she stop sucking my... I got something going on right now. Can you pay for therapy bills or something? Like, all you worried about is why it's dry, and I'm over here crying myself to sleep every night. Can we have some real husband and wife conversations? Because happy women are utterly disgusting.
Very.
It's the truth.
Is there some truth to women getting comfortable with their men and no longer doing the things they did to get them?
I would say definitely. I would equate it to just like when y'all started working at the jobs y'all at now. Y'all used to show up on time to them jobs. Lunch break was an hour. Y'all was there and back in that hour when y'all first started, right? You was taking initiative. You going and asked about, hey, what can I do? Can I do some extra work? Is there anything extra I can do? But once you done been there for a while, all that's over with. Now you showing up 15 minutes late and got it.
That is actually facts. And this actually happens in relationships a lot more than people actually realize. This is very, very common in relationships, to get to a point where at the start, things start off in a way. It's what we like to call often the discovery phase. The less you know, the more you're looking to inquire about something, the more fun something might be, the more interesting something might seem. And then as time goes by, as the picture starts getting painted, there becomes less of a inquisition for discovery. There becomes less of a need to understand. There becomes less of a desire to understand. Now, that's not anything to blame anyone specifically for, because at the end of the day, that just naturally happens, and you have to get up to a place where it's just coasting along and being what it needs to be, with sprinkles of excitement as we go along the way. But one thing I will definitely say is, if your interaction or sexual interaction is completely dependent on happiness rather than contentment, you're going to put yourself in a very, very dangerous situation. Because if your happiness, which is fleeting, happiness is fleeting, is the crux of which that you're going to find your partner attractive, if you've got something on your mind that you can't get off your mind, it could be a bill that needs to be paid. It could be a job proposition that's coming up that hasn't been finalized yet. It could be anything. It's completely out of the control of your wife or your husband, boyfriend or girlfriend. And then you're turning around and saying, because I've got this on my mind, I do not want to partake in relations, let's call it, with you. You're going to put yourself in a very, very, very bad situation with that person, because then they're going to have some sort of resentment. They're going to feel rejected. They're going to feel like they're not important. And then they're going to start questioning certain things that you guys go through. So the last thing you want to do is put yourself in that kind of situation, because at the end of the day, it's not nice. It is not nice. Your happiness is not something that's in someone else's control. It's completely in your control. Now, that's a very different story from if the person that you're with is the reason for your unhappiness, because they've been less than thoughtful before, because they've been less than understanding, because they haven't been paying attention to what's going on. You're crying yourself to sleep at night right next to them and they don't notice because they're not paying attention. That is very different. That's not what we're talking about here. We're just talking about general happiness, which the lady mentioned, and she said, listen, if you intend to be with me, or if you're with me and I just for some reason happen to be going through something unrelated to you, then you will suffer that. No, that's not a good situation to put yourself in. That's only going to end in one way. That's only going to end with you being the one that is the one that's hurt, because once that passes, that person won't be the same towards you. They're going to be like, get off me. Like, you want to go through some stuff and, all of a sudden cut the tap off when it comes to our sexual needs. They ain't going to go for that. Like, no one's going to be happy with that. And that's vice versa, to be fair.
Attitude when they tell you something about being late. Fact is that once you get the position, it's very easy to get complacent because you feeling like, well, my spot is already secured. But that's because a lot of people believe that getting into the relationship is the finish line, when it's actually the starting point. That's when the challenges start. Because once we done got used to each other, once we got complacent, now we got to work to keep this new, keep it fresh. Because at the end of the day, like, it can go away just as easily as it came. So I think that complacency is the answer to that, and that's why a lot of relationships fail.
That is very, very well said. Complacency is the biggest killer of the vibe in a relationship. Complacency shows a complete disregard to whoever you're with's needs. It makes them feel less special than you want them to, because don't you want the person that you're with to feel like this is the best situation they could be in? Isn't your mindset like, how can I just impress my person today? How can I treat them way better? Because you should be both the two best people in the world at putting a smile on the other person's face. You should both be the two best people in the world in terms of who you want to spend time with. There should be nobody else that they want to have some type of relations with. Nobody else. So if you are now denying them of that, where does that leave them? But as always, let's get the conversation started. Let me know what you think in the comments. Do you disagree? Is it fair to deny your other half the opportunity for relations? Let me know what you think, guys. And as always, like, if you haven't subscribed, make sure you subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.